Good morning. Hey, it's time for the July garden walkthrough. I do these things pretty early in the morning because I like the light and there's not a lot of traffic noise from the highway just 5 houses down. So let's take a look. Last time we were here, all the iris were in bloom. It was really spectacular. Right now, even though there's a lot of color, I still consider this, we're in a bit of a lull. Peonies have long done their thing. This black-eyed Susan is getting ready to pop, and in a few weeks should be pretty spectacular. Trim down the iris, which is not necessary, but the fact is I did a few of them, and then I realized I got to do them all. Baptisia is looking really lush, growing well. Echinacea finally doing its thing, which I am pleased to see. I do have a rabbit problem, and you'll see that through the whole garden tour. Not happy about it. There's some rabbit damage here. This clump of ironweed should be at least twice the size that it is. Here's a little rudbeckia that's doing nicely. Blue stripe, which always lends a really very nice color this time of year, and the pollinators love it. They're not out yet, but they will be soon. And it's not unusual to see a dozen bees on this all at once. Garden phlox. So I did fill that spot with some agastache. How do you pronounce it? I don't know if I'm saying it right. And I've got this beautiful summer sweet that I'll be putting in, if not in this exact spot, then probably right over here. Ah yes, the new fence. I don't know if you remember back in June, I was waiting for the fence to get repaired, and here's the new fence. It seems a whole lot higher, although I don't think it really is. If you remember how it was on the other side, it was not pretty. So let's go take a look. Hey, before we go through the gate, if you could hit like and subscribe, I'd really appreciate it. It's going to help the channel grow and help other people see the same content. Thanks. Remember what it was like before? This certainly wasn't here. There's a video on a build on that if you want to get caught up. It took a while. The rain barrels are full, and I've been using them quite a bit to water the containers, but not the beds, since I have drip irrigation for that. I'm about to plant this bed out in the next day or so with carrots and beets for a fall crop. What a difference 6 weeks makes in the vegetable garden. From early June, where things were just getting started, to now, it's crazy. So in this bed, I've got okra, which is really just getting started. It tends to be a late goer. And then growing up, this trellis is a miniature butternut squash. And they make little individual serving size butternuts, and I just love the way they kind of hang off the trellis, sort of like ornaments. Circle around those little cabbages. They're ready to harvest, and I do have a big harvest coming up soon. We're going to keep going. This is the herb bed. Lemongrass. Another little nice cabbage tucked in. Parsley is growing well. Finally, cilantro has gotten going. Here's more rabbit problem. See how all these are nipped off? That is Peter Rabbit. He does like the carrots, just like in the children's book. I'm around here with rosemary and lemon thyme. Basil and some regular globe basil. which I really do need to deadhead today. Zucchini and yellow squash, I had initially planned to grow it vertically like we've seen maybe on another channel, one of the big gardening channels. I haven't gotten to it. I don't know if it's too late. I don't think it is. But so far I'm getting plenty of zucchini and yellow squash. I do trim off some of the bottom leaves just to make the plant more accessible, but so far so good. Yellow squash there. Oh, there's a big one that needs harvesting. And something has gotten into this. So it's the first time I've seen this damage. Not sure if that is the vine borer or not, but I'm gonna have to deal with that shortly. There's nice zucchini back in there. And tucked all through this bed, it might be hard to see, are leeks that I planted. And when the courgettes are done, or the zucchini are done, still have those beautiful squash flower. Bunch more of the little squashes. We're gonna swing over this way, the other side of the trellis, and more rabbit damage. And it can be really frustrating because these vines can get all the way up to here, and all of a sudden I'll notice a dieback. I'm like, what happened? And I look at the bottom and the rabbit has snipped it off. I really like my green beans. I wish Mr. Rabbit would cease and desist. Come around. Tomatillos, do you ever grow tomatillos? They look like dresses or hot air balloons. And so they have this husk, and the fruit is only this big right now. It's quite small. But eventually it'll fill it out. And I use these to make a salsa verde. This one's split in some of the rain we've been having, and boy, have we been getting a ton of rain. It's calmed down over the last few days, but it's just been incredible. But see, it's split, but it's still attached, and this is still growing, so I'm not going to touch it for the time being. Let's take a look at one of the fun things I like to grow. Not necessarily to eat, but just to grow. These artichokes, they're beautiful. And when they open up, there'll be a giant thistle, and the pollinators will really love them. Now the peppers are sort of a mixed bag. I've got a whole bunch here to harvest, as well as a lot of shishitos. But notice these leaves on the bottom that are yellow. They pull one off and look at it. That's a sign of fungus. And the reason it happens is, number one, there's fungus spores all the time, but in the soil. But with high humidity and high rain, the rain splashes on the soil, bounces back up, gets on the leaves. You end up with damage like this. You treat it with copper, which I've been doing, and you should do that every week or so. But you're supposed to reapply after rain, and if it keeps raining, it's hard to stay on top of it. So as long as the crown of the plant still looks good, I'm not going to worry too much about it, but I do need to treat those plants. This dill that self-seeds every year, kind of promiscuous. And then some more peppers. This one, it's called Fooled Ya. It looks like a jalapeno, it tastes like a jalapeno, but it's not. It doesn't have the heat level of jalapeno. Let's swing around and look at these two beds. Well, they're not really beds, they're containers. So eggplants on this side and tomatoes on this side. And I've been using these boxes for years. They're from a company called thegardenpatch.com. This is not a paid endorsement. They work really well, But this reservoir that you fill, these plants can empty the reservoir twice a day. So while it might make it easier and they have nutrition or fertilizer patches that go on top, don't let it fool you to think that, oh, I don't have to water as often. You have to water a lot, especially plants this size take a tremendous amount of water. So from left to right, I've got 2 cherry tomatoes, 2 slicers, one red, one yellow, and then down here on the end, I have some Roma or plum tomatoes, which I'll use for making sauce or salsa. Some of these slicers are starting to ripen up. Again, you see this fungal damage, which I do need to take off. A lot of it has to do with airflow, and these are pretty crowded. I understand that, but the system works for me. One thing about the fungal damaged leaves, don't compost them. Get them off-site. If you have a way to get them into the municipal yard stream, waste stream, that's a better way to get rid of it, because if you let the leaves lay on the ground, then the fungus spores just go back into the ground, and you just repeat the cycle over and over and over again. And to break that, or to at least minimize it, you want to get those leaves off the property or off the ground, away from the plants for next year. One of my favorite crops are these eggplants, and just how beautiful this plant is. It's a showstopper in and of itself, with or without fruit. If you look at the flower, it is a lot like potato flower, or this plant called nightshade. These are nightshades, so they're in the same family. That's why the flower looks similar. And this one is an Ikebana, and this one is almost ready to harvest. There's a smaller one, which is also delicious. Now let's swing around the other way. Look, there's a bit of fruit in here to harvest. I think today may be a giant harvest day. I've got some globe eggplant in here. There's a baby and there's a nicer one. I use these for making eggplant parm and pasta alla norma, as well as baba ganoush. That's a really nice one that should be harvested today. Let's keep going. Almost done with the veg garden. This bed is a combination of leafy greens and peppers and some root vegetables. So I do have a little green pepper in there. At this point, they tend to be rather thin-walled, so I let them go longer. You can certainly harvest this, but it doesn't have the thickness that some of the more mature ones will have, so I'm going to let it go. Here we have beetroot. Also ready to harvest. This one looks good, so does that one and that one. So when these come out, I'll replant more artichoke, just because I can. Now, one thing is, my English friends complain about pigeon damage to their foliage. And while I don't have pigeons, I do have sparrows. And in the last few years, they've started eating the leaves, and I don't know if it's because they like it for nutrition or they want it for moisture, but I let them have these taller, tougher leaves. Out of here, cabbage moth, because the ones I'm interested in are these tender, succulent ones down below, which can go into my salads. And so I don't worry too much about these big ones, and as a matter of fact, kind of let them have it. Collard greens, which don't look like much now, they need to be cleaned up, but I'm more looking forward to them for fall. And I don't want to forget about my nice little shade bed here with begonia, sun patience, and caladium. Now this last part of the garden is probably a mixed bag for me. My least favorite and most favorite. Least favorite because the garden itself isn't in great shape, and I'm still trying to decide what to do. If you guys have some ideas, I'd love to hear about it in the comments below. Help me out. On the other hand, it's one of my favorite places to hang out, and I think you'll see why. The entrance here, I have this beautiful little urn with this Canova leopard Canna lily. This bed is still a mess, but it's got flowers that the pollinators are enjoying, so I'm not going to do anything with it for now, but I have to figure out what I'm going to do with it. I'm willing to take your suggestions. The accountant would like a swimming pool or a stock tank pool right here, a very small one. That's a possibility. Pollinators love the milkweed. Look at all that activity. Maybe swing this way. I've got a palm for decoration. And then over in this area is kind of our hangout area, which is quite nice, and we enjoy it a lot during the summer. The fans keep it cool and keep the bugs away, and it's just really nice. You can even be out here in the rain, and it's just lovely. That pretty much wraps up my July garden tour. Thanks for staying with me. If you stayed to the end, I appreciate it. And if you did, be sure to hit like, hit subscribe, and we'll see you next time.